Hey guys, I hope you're doing good with accountancy and also you must have started developing some interest in it. We learned about the modern approach of accounting and some basics of journal, the book of original entry. In this session, we'll continue to learn journal but in a little more detail. We'll learn about the different concepts and transactions in journal which we need to understand thoroughly before moving forward. So let's not waste our time and gear up ourselves to gain some more knowledge of journal. First is the concept of opening and closing journal entry. Do you know a business needs to follow financial year of accounting which starts from 1st April to 31st March apart from the calendar year which is from January to December. So we need to transfer all the assets and liabilities from previous year to the current year. And for such purpose an opening entry is passed which reflects the accounting situation of a company at the beginning of each fiscal year. Similarly, a closing entry is passed on 31st March each year, which is reflecting the accounting situation of a company at the end of each fiscal year. We will see this with the help of an example. From the following balances, pass the opening journal entry and we are provided with the balances of assets, that is building, machinery, furniture, stock and cash, and also the balances of liabilities, that are loans and creditors, in addition with capital. Now, as we know, assets have a debit balance and liabilities have a credit balance. So all we need to do is debit all the assets and credit all the liabilities and capital. Next is the example of closing journal entry, and we are provided with the balance sheet as on 31st March. The balance sheet contains the list of assets and liabilities including capital. So again, we have to do the same thing as we did in the opening journal entry. We have to debit all the assets account and credit all the liabilities account including the capital account, as I have done here. Building account debit, machinery account debit, furniture account debit, stock account debit, cash account debit, to loan account, creditors account and capital account, with the balances as reflected in the balance sheet. Next is the concept of outstanding and prepaid expenses. It happens very often in a business that we have an expense due but not yet paid, or we have an expense paid in advance which is not even due. These expenses are known as outstanding and prepaid expenses. An expense incurred during the current year but not yet paid is known as the outstanding expense. It indicates an increase in liability for the business, so we credit the outstanding expense account. Also, future expenses that are paid in advance during the current year which do not relate to the current year are known as the prepaid expenses. This indicates an increase in assets for the business, so we debit the prepaid expenses account. We will see this with the help of an example. Salary due but not yet paid, rupees 50,000. It is an example of outstanding salary, so we credit the outstanding salary account with rupees 50,000. Also, if you notice, we debit the salary account as we have to indicate that expense for the current year. Next, rent paid in advance for 2 months, rupees 5,000 each. It is example of prepaid rent, so we debit the prepaid rent account with rupees 10,000, that is 5,000 multiplied by 2 months. Also, we credit the cash account as cash is moving out of the business. Next is the concept of accrued and unearned income. It is quite similar to that of outstanding and prepaid expense, but the only difference here is it relates to income. Any income earned but yet to be received during current year is accrued income. Now, it clearly indicates an increase in assets, so we debit the accrued income account. Any income not earned but received in advance during current year is known as the unearned income, as the name suggests. So it indicates an increase in liability, so we credit the unearned income account. Let's see this with the help of an example. Commission earned but not received, rupees 30,000. It is a case of accrued commission, so we debit the accrued commission account and credit commission received account with rupees 30,000. Next, rent received in advance for a month, rupees 4,000. Here, cash is debited as cash is coming into the business and unearned rent account is credited as it indicates an increase in liability with rupees 4,000. Next is the concept of interest on capital and drawings. Now, as we know that the owner of the business is separate identity from the business, And as the owner is providing us with the capital, he also charges us with the interest on capital. So in clear terms, interest on capital is an expense for the firm. So we debit interest on capital account and credit it with the capital account, as we do not need to have settlements in cash with the own owner. Okay. Now again, owner also withdraws some amount from the business. Now we shall also charge him for the interest from the same. So interest on drawing is charged from the owner. That is, interest on drawings is income for the business. So we credit the interest on drawings account and debit it with the drawings account, as we adjust it with the drawings account only. Let's see this with the help of an example. Provide 10% interest on capital at the end of the year, and capital is rupees 2 lakh. Interest on capital being an expense for the firm, we debit interest on capital account with rupees 20,000, that is 10% of rupees 2 lakh, and credit the capital account. Charge 10% interest on drawings at the end of the year, and total drawings for the year is rupees 20,000. Interest on drawings is an income for the firm, so we credit interest on drawings account with rupees 2,000 and debit the drawings account. Next is the concept of purchase and sales return. Sometimes goods may not meet up to the requirement of the customer, so we may return them to the supplier. In this case, purchase return is an example which occurs when the buyer sends goods back to the suppliers. In this case, we credit the purchase return account to offset the debit purchase balance, and also a credit note is received from the supplier, which indicates that the supplier has credited us in his books of accounts. In the case of sales return, the customer returns goods back to the firm. In this case, the goods are moving into the business, so we debit the sales return account to offset the credit sales balance, and also we provide a debit note to the customer indicating that we have debited him or her in our books of accounts. Also, if you notice, purchase return is known as return outwards, as goods are moving outwards of the business, and sales return are also known as return inwards, as goods are coming into the business. Let's see this with the help of an example. Goods worth rupees 7,000 returned to A & Company. It is example of purchase return. So we credit the purchase return account and debit the receiver, which is A & Company, with rupees 7,000. Defective goods worth rupees 6,600 received back from the customers. It is example of sales return. So we debit the sales return account and credit the giver, which is the customer, with rupees 6,600. Let us now move forward with the last topic of today's session, which is discounts. We have heard about discounts very often in our day-to-day routine life, but we do not know that discounts are of two types: trade discount and cash discount. Any discount which is provided in order to attract customers and increase sales is known as a trade discount. Just for example, flat 10% off or buy one get one free. It is just a part of promotional strategy for the firm. So we do not record any trade discount in our books of accounts. But we record cash discount, which are also known as the early payments discount. These cash discounts are provided only upon a condition of immediate payment. That means they are not provided to the public, which are provided only to the customers who pay us the cash immediately. Okay, it is the early payment discount. So we need to record cash discount, as it is not a general case. So we record cash discount in our books of account. Now further, this cash discount can be of two types. We may allow cash discount or we may receive cash discount. In a case when we allow a discount, it is a loss for the firm, or I can say it is a decrease in revenue for the firm. So we debit the discount allowed account. And when we receive the discount, it is a income, it is a gain for the firm. So we credit the discount received account. Let's see this with the help of an example. Goods having MRP of rupees 30,000 are sold after providing 10% trade discount and 3% cash discount. Now, as we do not record the trade discount, we already deduct this amount of rupees 10% with rupees 30,000. So we record sales with rupees 27,000 and record discount allowed, which is 3% cash discount, which is a debit balance of rupees 810, and cash, which is 26,190. As cash is coming into the business, we debit the cash account. Goods purchased for rupees 19,000 after availing a discount of 5% on MRP, and payment is made immediately by the bank. Here, purchase is being made for rupees 20,000, so we debit the purchase account. And as we receive discount, it is an income for us, so we credit the discount received account. And as we are paying the amount with banks, we credit the bank account with rupees 19,000 and 1,000 of discount. Now we have some other commonly used accounts which we come across while preparing journal. First is bad debts. Bad debts is a debt that cannot be recovered from a customer. Now as it clearly indicates, it is a loss, so we debit the bad debts account. Next is loss by theft or fire. It is any loss which is caused due to some thief or accidental fires, etc., which is a general part of the business, and as it indicates losses, we debit the loss by theft or fire account. Next is the depreciation. Depreciation is a reduction in the value of asset over a period of time, which is generally caused due to normal wear and tear of asset. Now as it again indicates the loss, we debit the depreciation account. I hope all these terms are clear to you and you understood the basic terms of journal. We'll get into detail with each of these in our later session. Till then, feel free to mention your queries in the comment box. I'll try and cover each of them further. Please share this video with all your friends in need, as it would definitely be helpful. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.